Tansei, welcome to Métis Minute, your source for Métis news in Region 7. Today, we're continuing along our journey to discuss a cornerstone of Métis culture, art. If you're a Barrie native, you may have seen a huge transformation of our downtown core over the last few years concerning public art. A lot of murals have popped up, making the downtown more lively. Did you know one of the artists responsible for those murals is Metis? Monica Loney is a Metis artist and Barrie resident. Monica was the 2022 recipient of the Barrie Arts Awards Emerging Artist Award. She has worked with the Downtown Barrie BIA for several arts works, as well as the Township of Oro-Medonte and the City of Barrie. She is a public art advocate and my sister, so I am super excited to help her share her story and why public art is so important. Check out the interview I did with her. All right, so how would you define Métis art?
I define Métis art as any form of creativity, because art comes in all forms, that is done by a person who identifies as Métis. I've often had this discussion with people about having to create Métis specific art, which would be more like traditional, like the dot art and stuff like that. But I think that any kind of art that one does who is Métis is considered Métis art. So my stuff is line work, and I don't necessarily focus on Indigenous imagery, but whatever I do or whatever I've drawn, it is Indigenous because I'm Indigenous, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like pressure, especially from like non-indigenous people to be like, oh, that's not indigenous art. Like if they look at something and it doesn't like scream native to them, like, but it,
Yeah, exactly. And like, if I want to draw an apple, and because I am Métis and Indigenous, then that apple is a picture, an Indigenous art form, like a piece of art.
yeah. And so you talked about the line work a little bit just now. Maybe if you could describe, because that is generally your main style of art, but if you want to describe, yeah, like either what drew you to that or describe it for people who don't know.
Yeah, so I like to focus on the continuous line. So all of my drawings that I do, the imagery is all done in one single line, so from start to finish. And I really resonate with that because I believe it's like a flow state that we all wish to kind of achieve. And it's very meditative, and I got into it during the pandemic actually as a way to relax and unwind. It really got me to focus on how I could draw something in one singular line. So it really got me out of my head and kind of into my heart and to focus that way. Um, I believe the continuous line represents the universal connection we all share. So you and I, and this is again can go to our indigenous roots and what we're taught, and what other cultures are taught as well, is that we are all connected. So we are connected to Mother Earth, we are connected to one another, we are connected to, that above. And yeah, so I think, yeah, I just like to use it because it just brings me back to the simple thing that we are all connected. And I like to think of it as it is a meditative state. It gets us back to self. And when we are centered and with ourselves, we feel good, and we put that energy out there into the world, and then that, you know, bounces off to someone else who can then bounce it off to someone else, and it just brings us all together and how we're connected.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're based out of Barrie and
Yeah.
grew up here basically and are still living here. How would you
Mhm.
describe the art scene in Barrie, even like now versus because growing up here, you've seen the downtown sort of transform with these murals, and we'll talk about the murals that you're involved in a minute. But yeah, do you want to describe how the art scene in Barrie has changed, what you've seen?
Yeah, it's definitely expanded. Um, and I don't know if it was because when I was younger, I wasn't fully involved in the art scene itself, but looking back, I don't remember seeing any murals. So um, the only form of public art were it was very limited, the amount of public art, like sculptures and things that I had seen in the downtown area. And now, within the last year, 2 years, actually, there's been a big boom. I think we have there's like 7 or 8 murals in downtown Barrie in itself. And there's been like a really, really big boost for public art and trying to get funding and stuff like that to support local artists. And open air Dunlop, there's a lot of art activities that are happening in downtown Barrie as well to get the community involved. So I just think within the last 2 years, I'd say it's been on the up and up. And I really hope we can keep this momentum going forward.
Yeah, and so yeah, like I said, we'll talk about the murals. You've been involved in multiple murals in the city. And
Mhm.
yeah, you described your line work. How did you get involved with the murals and why?
Yeah, so it actually was word of mouth. And I think that's the one thing I've learned over the last few years. You kind of just own what you want to do and speak it out into the universe and let people know and kind of claim it in a way. And then that way people actually know. So when there's someone looking for something to be done or can use your services or your creativity, they'll reach out. And so I had actually started working at a craft bottle shop in downtown Barrie, and I was just exploring my line work. And the owner actually approached me and asked if I'd ever done anything on a wall because he was looking to add something to the bathroom. And it was a very simple piece. We called it the can because it was in the can. And so I got to do a little mural on the inside of a bathroom. I loved it. I was able to go in and just, work on a bigger scale. And it was challenging at first, but I loved that challenge. I was usually used to doing ink on paper, so very small scale. And I just had so much fun and I loved it. And people started, oh, you did this, you did that, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, it was really good. And then I just said, you know what? I think I want to do it. I want to do murals. Like I felt really good. I want to do larger scale. I want to do public art. I think that's how it was. I was like, I think. And then I just started telling people. I said, hey, yeah, I'm an artist. I claimed that first. For a long time I didn't call myself that. I think we all a lot of creatives go through the whole imposter syndrome thing, but I bit the bullet and just started saying, yep, I'm an artist. And I just started telling people, and it was through this networking and word spread. I got to do another indoor mural, a bit of a larger piece for another local business downtown. And then they were looking for the downtown Barrie BIA had, I guess, decided that they wanted to do like one of the first public murals ever in downtown Barrie. And through word of mouth, and my name, I guess, popped up behind the scenes, and I was told I should apply. I applied and I got the job. And so I got to assist on the first mural in Barrie, one of the first murals in downtown Barrie.
And that was with Beckett, right?
Yeah, Brackett Kesler from Toronto. Yeah, and we did the Little by Little, a little becomes a lot, also known as the Strawberry Mural. And yeah, so that's on Maple Avenue downtown.
And how did that sort of, because I know like Barrie maybe isn't known or wasn't known for its art scene, like having someone come down and take a local artist kind of under their wing and teach, like, because after that you started to do a lot more murals and things like that. So how did having that person come in and like train and work with a local artist, like how important do you think that is to have like our artists here supported so that way they can move on to, and we don't have to bring people from outside?
I think it's great. I think it's kind of like patching on the torch in a sense. And even if we're going to take it back to like our indigenous roots, it's more like knowledge sharing. So you're bringing someone from outside of the community to come in and teach a local, teach someone who then can take that knowledge and what I've learned, and I learned a lot, and again, help other people within the community, and then the outsider can leave and go spread more, and then I can take what I do and maybe go to another smaller town and have a local artist assist me so that when I leave, they can spread the word. It's kind of like, what's that saying? Teach a man to fish. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Do you know what it is? Can you say it? What is
You
it?
teach a man to fish, and you can like, or you give him a fish, and he'll eat for a day. You teach a man to fish, and yeah, they know how to fish.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah. So no, I think it's very important because we have had I know a few local artists here that have done uh murals, like small scale stuff, but no one had come out and had that power or that authority, that clout, I guess is the word I'm saying, built in Barrie yet for doing something outdoors. So then having someone come in from Toronto, which has a huge mural art and art scene, come in, kind of mentor me, yeah, mentor me. She's like now my mentor. I can go to her for anything, and show me the ropes, and then I can take that now and yeah, and help others. And I had a lot of people approach me, ask me questions. So there's a lot of buzz around it. And yeah, everyone was like, oh, wow, to see someone from your community actually be able to do something. I think that's very important. Something.
And yeah, since you've done that, I know you had your own brightening barriers, but then you also, with the McLaren, were able to take the youth, right? And
Yeah, it was really nice. I got to work with Clandestino's Art. So it's Bruno and Shellac. It's a duo, a little married duo team. They're not little, they're huge. They're internationally known. But I got to assist with them in the McLaren Art Center to do a public art installation, and the youth got to create it. So it was run through the McLaren Art Center. Youth signed up and they got to create a public art installation and learn about spray paint and public art. And it was really nice to see the young minds become inspired to pursue maybe art as a career and be interested in public art, because it's one of the things that I think it's not very promoted as like a feasible career. It's not responsible. Art's very, but you can make a living, and it does take time and effort. And if we can encourage more creativity, more out of the box thinking, not only will these kids maybe pursue art if it's a passion, but also just if art's not something they want to pursue as a career, it's definitely a self-esteem builder. It allows your mind to go again. It can promote mindfulness, creativity, help one relax and express themselves, which is very important.
I think too, like you mentioned, the Clandestinos, it's like they're kind of the, just proof that you can build a career out of doing public art. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and also then they're very encouraging. I learned a lot from them in the sense where they have artwork now in Barrie popping up everywhere, and it's because they ask. I think that's like a lot of the things. It's like everyone's like, oh, they're getting all the stuff. Like we have other local artists here too. It's like, but all us other local artists aren't asking. I was really inspired to just kind of through them, seeing them just go up, find a wall, and be like, hey, we'd like to do this. Can we do this? Like it's that it can be that simple sometimes. And I think a lot of times we block ourselves some chances and opportunities because we are afraid to ask. So yeah.
yeah, and you talked about the impact sort of the youth just on art in general, but you have been giving art tours as well. So do you want to maybe talk about the importance of the public art in the community? Because you've seen it when I guess like you go on these tours and you show people the murals and where all the public art is.
Yeah, I think oh yeah, we need public art is like a game changer for any area. I think one of the main things is definitely brings a sense of ownership. When you beautify an area, people will start to take, they're like, oh, the government or the city actually cares for us, cares for this place. So then the people within it want to take ownership. So, you could reduce vandalization. If they see crimes happening, you're going to have bystanders more likely want to say something or go report it, because they care for this place because they know the city cares for this place. It can uplift. I mean, it's a form of self-expression. Just by looking at something beautiful, even for a moment, you can make yourself feel good. It feels good to see art. It can invoke social change, some injustice that are here in the world. It just yeah, it can, let you know about other cultures. A lot of public art has like a cultural background in it. And if you're not um, able to go experience the world and, see other things, it can maybe help you resonate or get an idea of what it's like to be within that certain culture, and then maybe bridge some gaps, knock down some stereotypes. Business, it makes businesses boom. If you can have public art, it's a tourist attraction. People will want to come, and then when they come to your city to see these arts, they're supporting the local business through buying, food. Um, buying food, supplies in the sense that the artists that are painting often like to support local. So I will go to a local shop that can give me paint and brushes instead of the big chain box stores. It just can help boost the economy, makes the place safer, more beautiful, can bridge gaps, and it's just fun. I think you just want to live in a beautiful place that, when you're walking down the street, you don't feel drab. You look around, you're like, oh, beautiful colors. Oh, great messages, just public art's just great. The response has been great too. Like people looking at the mural, like, wow. And it's just, even just that reaction for a moment is great.
Yeah, and you were talking about artists supporting like the shops and stuff for their supplies, but then also just the downtown BIA has done a great job in supporting the local artists. So in a way, it boosts our own economy that way by there's local artists here who want to create art, and we're not
Yeah.
going to Toronto to get them. Like we're bringing people in to sort of mentor, but we're allowing local artists to like we're feeding into our own economy by paying these artists and these people who live in the city to create stuff.
Yeah, and the community here also is just really great. I want to mention it's like everyone is so supportive. I've never, if there's a like an art call to something and I know it's, instead of it being so competitive, if it's something I know that it's, not my flavor, something I don't really want to do, doesn't really resonate with me. But I know another artist that like, oh wow, their style's really great. Like I know they would love that. Like most of us, pretty much all of us that I've encountered is like, we'll recommend that person, be like, hey, listen, there's this call and I think your stuff would be really good. Like you should really apply. I'm going to step down because it's not about the money. It's not about the clout that you get for it. I feel like the community that we have here is really, those that I've interacted with is really into promoting one another and having everyone have their chance to shine and, really choosing who's the right fit for the job. And because I think that's also more authenticity is key. And if you can get art that, from an artist that like really fits in that spot that and has a similar message and a vibe as the place that they're, painting on, um, I think it's great. And it just like, again, makes things seem more real and more approachable and just more good vibes. I don't know.
Yeah, and we've seen all these murals pop up. Like we said, like growing up, like downtown completely has
Yeah.
changed. Like it looks like a nice place to go. Whereas before it might have been a little like scary
Yeah.
or like not safe for like older people might not have felt safe and parents might not have felt safe bringing their kids. So we've kind of built on like making the downtown look nice. But as a whole, in like the future of the city of Barrie, what would you like to see like art do, or like how the art scene is going to change? What would you like to see for the future?
I just, again, more public art. We have a lot of more walls that can be covered. Um, Also, possibly like incorporating more community-based things, like interactive things the community can join into. I really would love to see a legal graffiti wall put up there. And a few artists and I have been chatting of how we can work together to bring that about. I think having a safe space for artists who want to try dabble in street art a little bit and want a chance to get creative and see if it's something that they like to do, because no one just wants to jump in and do, here's your wall, a huge wall, go for it. You need to have, it's the baby steps. You want the practice, you want to build the confidence up a little bit. So having a legal graffiti wall where you can just go on, test out some styles, and it'll be removed later and someone will go over top of it, and that is also a good community building activity. I think that would be really great if, Barrie can have that somewhere. Also incorporate more interactive art in general. So um, public art it's not just murals. It could be, we have a piano that's downtown. So, it's a piece that was created um, by other artists, decorated by other artists. And the community can come down there and play. Like music's a form of art. So if we had more interactive things like that, maybe I know some place I'd read has like a fence. So it serves two purposes. It's a proper fence, but when you walk across it and drag a stick across it, it makes noise. And so it like plays a little song. So maybe something a little bit more interactive to get the community involved, because I think community support is huge in for artists. We need people to want our art, and we also want people to enjoy our art. So maybe just not visually as well, but maybe they can interact with it, which would be really great.
Some more interactive pieces around.
Yeah.
And like downtown's been built up, but do you think there's like other parts of the city? I know you did a mural that wasn't downtown as well, but like other parts of the city, we have the electric boxes that have like the art on it. Like,
Yeah, the city of Barrie has a really good initiative, and I know a lot of cities around Ontario that and I'm sure outside of Ontario as well, that I've seen have like electrical boxes, so we can get artists to digitize their work and it gets wrapped. There's the bus stops, so we have bus shelters. There's some wraps in there as well. Um, yeah, so there are the public parks, all the parks. Like, I mean, you have skate parks. One of the pieces I'd done for the city of Barrie with three other local artists was a pump house. So it was just a water. It held the water for the spray park. So we're, like you can paint anything really. Windows. Um, yeah, there's so many places around town. Anywhere anything can be a canvas.
in North Bay, you're going to be part of an Indigenous youth conference. I mean, you're not a youth yourself, but you're going to be going there to do like public art piece, like a mural.
Mhm.
Maybe if you want to talk about like expanding beyond like the city, like now you're one of those artists that isn't just like a Barrie artist, but you're traveling to go do other stuff.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I think it'll be very interesting because it'll be a live. So I'd only other done one other piece live, and it was at an event called Rap is Poetry, where they had a bunch of poets and rappers perform, and I drew a big piece at the end and I pulled through their words and their feelings and what they had done, and made one large continuous line piece. So that was the only thing I'd done. This one's going to be a little bit more different. So it's going to be 2 days instead of a couple hours. And it's a forum on Indigenous youth issues, such as like homelessness. They're going to be talking about LGBTQ, um, like food scarcity, all the issues that Indigenous youth face. And just a panel discussing that, and like probably hopefully coming up with solutions that they can try to implement and things like that. And I think it's just going to be a different activity to do, and I'm very excited to be able to try to capture the feelings of that and everyone that are involved and put it onto a big installation. And I hope that I inspire other people. I think the main thing I want to do by expanding my art and getting out into different types of scenes, um, is just to network and expand and learn and hopefully inspire other people to do the same. I think I get very inspired by hearing other people's stories. I'm a great listener. And I think that's because I'm just very intrigued. And it's when people speak passionately, and at events like this, that's what the panel has been chosen. People that attend there are very passionate about these topics, and these are lived experiences that they've been through. I think it's going to be very inspiring for myself. And um, yeah, and so I hope I inspire others, but I'm also looking forward to being inspired myself, and yeah,
Yeah, knowledge that you gain there, you can come back home, and I think
come back home and share. And yeah.
yeah. And so you're also the Métis Nation of Ontario. They have their art council, and they're in Gravenhurst in
Yeah.
April. I think it's April 27th. They're going to be doing their art crawl, the first one in Region 7.
Mhm.
So we want to maybe talk about what we can expect from you there, because obviously you're not going to be doing a mural there. You're going to be showcasing some
No.
of your pieces, but
Yeah, yeah, I'll be bringing a few of my line work. I'm commission based, so a lot of my stuff is specific to people who reach out who want a piece of art. But I do sometimes, because it all started out as, a way for me to meditate and relax and practice mindfulness. I do still, if I'm getting that little inspiration or that pull, will sit, meditate, and draw a piece. So I'll be bringing a handful of those to have on display. And I also am experimenting with prints, because I also really believe um, art needs to be accessible. And I think also I want to throw in there that that's why public art's so important as well, because it's accessible. Anyone can go on the street and see a mural and enjoy that. Whereas sometimes it can be a little stuffy in a gallery, or you have to pay to enter. Um, anyway, so taking that concept and bringing it forward is I want my art to be a little bit more accessible to people, in a way that, personal custom pieces can be up there in price. And so I've decided to, dabble into a little bit of prints as well. And so I'll be bringing some of those if anyone's inclined or interested. But yeah, I'll just be bringing my line work and really just hoping to connect and build more of a community, with my Indigenous side. I think I've just only over the past 2, 3 years have started really reconnecting, um, and trying to, go back to like figuring out like where I fit in this whole thing with my Métis roots, and kind of like learning a little bit more about my history and my past and how I can, bring that forward into my work and into the world. And so I'm really, really looking forward to just networking with the community that's there and hearing their stories and maybe getting inspired and learning a little bit more about my roots and how, everyone around there got into their art. And I think when you're an artist or a creative and you surround yourself with other creatives, and it doesn't even matter if you're from the same, same culture, it's still, we can all connect in the way that we all have the same struggles. Again, like I mentioned earlier, imposter syndrome. A lot of us creatives suffer from imposter syndrome. Even like trying to figure out how to start a business. Like we can talk about our, issues that we're having, the ups and the downs, and just be there to support one another. It's a very empowering community. So
I think, yeah, that's probably one of whenever I talk to artists, like the big when they start out is like, how do I price this? So it's like going
yeah,
to
oh,
other
pricing.
artists. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd like to point out that, again, going back to how we're all connected. So if you're an artist and you price your stuff a little bit low, I think that kind of does a disservice, because when you know your worth and you know what your stuff should be, but you're like, and you're not quite comfortable yet charging for the right price. You're like, oh, I'll give you like a really good discount. It kind of affects all of us other artists, because then people think that art is, not worth as much. So I like getting into these groups and kind of encouraging us to, charge what we're worth, because it helps the collective. When people start seeing that, we put our time, our sweat, our tears into creating each piece, um, it's worth something. Our time's worth something. So
What are some other ways that like these markets are important? Because art can sometimes be like insulating, and like you said, you can expand to a new audience. But yeah, why are those markets? Because you've been part of quite a few, those art markets important.
yeah, so yeah, networking is huge, building a community, but also just being able to get your art out there and the message that you have behind creating this art. So if you do markets, you're going to hit a wide range of people. People come all over to visit markets in general. And if you can do a market that's outside your town, and expand to different areas, I think it's really important to be able to showcase your work and tell your story to different people all over. And kind of, yeah, especially with Métis, this one will be Métis focused, Indigenous focused. It's just, we're here, we're not like, yeah, it's just kind of taking up space in a sense and like showing, yeah, this is us, this is who we are. We're not talked about much, but here we are.
I think, yeah, that was when I interviewed George Samard, the president of the Métis Arts Council. That was his big
Yeah.
thing, was like showing people like Métis artists are here, and maybe our art isn't exactly what you think an Indigenous artist
Yes.
should be or look like, but it's like Métis people can sculpt, we can paint, we can do
Yes.
whatever.
Right. And it doesn't, again, going back to my definition of what makes Métis art, it's just art done by a Métis. So it's showcasing that, again, it doesn't have to be what people think Indigenous art is supposed to look like.
And if there's anyone, since we are in Barrie, and well, we
Yeah.
can expand it to maybe Simcoe County as well, if there are any of these local artists that are maybe wanting to start and pursue a career, like actually start a career out of it, not just have it be a hobby. Do you have any advice to anyone in Barrie or Simcoe County for starting?
Um, I mentioned this earlier, speak it. You just have to start saying it. You have to own it and claim it. And whether it's music or paint or generally just then, if you're not quite comfortable being like, I'm a painter, just again, you're an artist or you're a creative, start simple. And then because networking is huge. And again, I'm really a firm believer in manifesting and speaking it into the universe and kind of owning out your space. So something as simple as just start saying it. When people are like, what do you do? They're like, oh, I work at the mall. No, I'm an artist. and then that starts the conversation like, oh, well, what kind of art do you do? And then you say and blah, and then it just expands, and then you're in people's minds. And yeah, something as simple as that.
I remember when you first started, you would just walk around with your art and be like, "Hey, like I made this. Like I want to give this to you as a gift." Like the bottle shop where you were
Oh,
talking about the
oh,
mural.
that's
Yeah.
yes, yes. Oh, that's actually good. That's a great one. As well as speaking it, just, start with something little like gift giving. Yeah, I made little cards. I'm like, oh, here, instead, this is a birthday card for you. Happy birthday, or welcome to the neighborhood, or stuff like that. And people are like, oh, did you draw that? And you're like, and then I was like, yeah, I did, because that's what I do. Yeah, and then again, yeah, sharing. So speaking it, sharing your work. I know it's a love-hate relationship with social media, but share your art. It can hit a larger audience. Yeah, and then, maybe in the little description say, "This is what I do," reach out, send me a DM or an email, and, maybe we can work together. Yeah, so definitely sharing it. And then, yeah, and then start going to markets. My first market I ever did, I literally showed up. It was in Toronto. It was a Bloor West Flea. I don't even know if they do this market anymore. I just had like a little portfolio book, and it just had my sketches in it. And I brought business cards. And my main goal for that was just to hand out my business cards, not necessarily sell this art, which originally was on computer paper, like printing paper on the computer with a Sharpie. I still use a Sharpie, by the way, but not on that paper anymore. And it was just, yeah, and I had gotten my first commission piece there, and it was like a really big one for like some lady because she liked me, she liked my style, and yeah, she really resonated. I think when it comes to art, it's the artist, the person behind the piece that I think is what we need to sell, not necessarily the piece, but we need to sell ourselves, be authentic, be who we are, and then we attract in the right people that will then like our art.
Yeah, I think that was one of the important things about like markets too, is like you actually get to meet the artist. Like instead of just seeing their art online, it's like that woman obviously not only connected with your art, but with you, like you said, like your
And
personality.
sharing stories, and you'd be surprised when you like decide to open up and be a little bit vulnerable and just be who you are. Other people will do the same, and then you connect that way. And then again, when you connect with someone, they're like, I need a piece of work, and I would like to hire you to do it because we've connected.
Yeah. So speaking of connecting, how can people connect with you, find your work? Obviously, they can roam around downtown Barrie and your name will be on some of the murals, but if they want
Or
to,
just talk to anyone downtown. I feel like I've really honed in on this networking and just knowing my community, and yeah. But yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you can find me on social media, obviously. On Instagram, I am at beautifully.monica. Um, yeah.
And what,
Yeah.
yeah, like they can
Yeah.
purchase art or like you said, you do like custom pieces. You've started
I
prints.
do I started a little bit of prints. I'm experimenting with that. I really want to love the authenticity of just straight ink on paper of me putting my energy and doing the work. But yeah, so I do custom, so commissions. So you can, send me a DM on there and be like, hey, or just we can chat. I'll do public art as well. If you are a business and you want something on your wall, indoor or outdoor, I can do it. And I know a few other artists I can recommend as well. If it's a different style or something else you're interested in, I really would love, I'm really into like helping the community here. And if I know someone, if you just have an inquiry, I'll let you know. And yeah, and sometimes I do these pre-drawn pieces where, I just get in the zone and I draw out something and then I put them up for sale. But I'll be posting. It's either you catch it on Instagram in a story or it's gone. It goes quick, but yeah. Instagram is my main channel. And I have a website. It's beautifullymonica.com. And there's a contact page, and you can go on that page and send me a little message. And you can also see I have a little portfolio of some of the public art pieces that I've done as well.
Yeah. And if they just want to connect with you, just chat with an artist, you're cool with that too?
I'm on Instagram. Just send a message. Oh, yeah. I've already had friends recommend friends of friends that just want to talk over coffee and pick my brain because they're kind of scared to take that leap of like, having this quote unquote career that's not satisfying, but being into art, and wanting to pursue that full time, and they kind of asking about how I took that leap. And I'm completely honest with like, luckily I've had tons of support from family. I know a lot of people don't have that and they're on their own. So, but yeah, if you just want to chat, anyone, I'm asking me a question, I'm open. I love sharing. Again, it's that whole like I was mentored and I was a mentee, like someone was my mentor, and I would love to be able to do that. And I have been in a way doing that with other people in the community. So I want to continue that. So then they can take those skills and pass it forward. It's all about paying it forward. There's room for everyone. And especially when it comes to art, I think there's someone for everyone. Like it should not be a competition. I think it's very individualized in the sense with like people like what they like, and just yeah, you'll find your people will come to you.
I want to thank Monica for being part of the show today. If you'd like to check out her work, you can follow her on Instagram at beautifullymonica or visit her website, beautifullymonica.com. In other public art news, the city of Barrie is currently looking for artists to apply for their latest public art project. Artist designed traffic cabinet wraps. The city of Barrie invites proposals from local artists for digital designs that will be used to wrap up 5 traffic cabinets. The Traffic Services Department, in partnership with Economic and Creative Development, will once again support this graffiti abatement initiative. The wraps will feature original works of art that will contribute to civic pride, bring vibrancy to our city, and showcase the talent in our community. Why is this important? Graffiti is a community concern that affects all Barrie residents. The Graffiti Abatement Program combines removal, enforcement, and education initiatives to reduce graffiti in our city. Wrapping traffic cabinets with artist-designed imagery serves as a graffiti deterrent and adds bright and positive imagery to our city streets. The cabinets selected for these new wraps will be protected by a special coating that helps repel paint and other elements. Artwork added to traffic cabinets is considered temporary, with a maximum lifespan of 10 years. The wrapped cabinets will be located at prominent locations throughout the city. Artists will be compensated $750 for their digital designs. Proposals are due March 20th, 2024. Visit the City of Barrie's website in their public art section to learn more about the artist's call and what you need to do to apply. While you're there, you can also check out information on all the public art that Barrie already has to offer. Merci for watching, happy scrolling, and we'll see you down the river.